Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. So as we all know that we are discussing the answer copies of our aim for agriculture series. So as you all know that we are having aim for agriculture series in which we are having daily answer writing practice plus weekly full tests. So today we are going to discuss the another copy of this series only, and today we will be discussing the full test number 3. Full test number 3. So let's see how the student has approached the answers whatever the questions asked. And by viewing these videos, by viewing these answer copies, by watching these answer copies, you can also develop your own idea of how to approach the answer. You will also get a certain amount of knowledge by reading these answers if you don't know the answers, so that will be very helpful to you. So please do read the answers. I will be briefly analyzing and giving you a brief idea. So whenever you want to read the answer completely or you want to read the answer in elaborate way, you can just pause the video and read the answers properly. Okay, because I have not that much of time that I will be reading line by line of every answer, but I will be giving you a brief idea of how to approach this answer. So you can simply pause and you can read the answers if you want. So let's start. So the first question was differentiate between relative weed and obnoxious weed. So let's see what the difference is. So we all know what weeds are. So weeds are unwanted and undesirable plants. Okay, so you can nicely introduce by defining weeds. Now let's move to the difference. Relative weeds. These are undesirable in certain context but not a threat to other situations. So simply the student is trying to say here that relative weeds are undesirable, but when compared to obnoxious weeds, they are less problematic and less difficult to control. But when it comes to obnoxious weed, they are highly problematic and very difficult to control. So when it comes to controlling the efficiency of controlling and the problem, the obnoxious weed is more problematic and is more difficult to control as compared to relative weed. Okay. Okay, you can pause the video and read other points. There are similar points only. You can see the third point is also similar, easier to manage and eradicate, difficult to eradicate. The second point is depends in a specific environment and situation, and as it is most problematic and it is more adaptable. Okay, the obnoxious weed is more adaptable as compared to relative weed. That is why they can grow in varied range of environments. Okay, the relative weeds are less likely to invade larger areas, whereas obnoxious weed can invade large areas. So these are the some of the points. Okay, examples have been also given for relative weed. They are wild mustard, wild oats. For obnoxious weed, they are parthenium, lantana, camargo. Very well written. So you can just pause the video and read the answers if you want. Although there could be some improvement in the answers because many points you can see are very similar. Okay, first point, third point are very similar. Okay, so that is why I have written that there could be improvement. Do not try to repeat the points. Okay, always instead of writing 7 points, write 5 points, but don't repeat the points. Don't write like this, that the first point, then the same content is repeated in third point, then the same is repeated in fifth point. Avoid these things. Okay, so this was the first question. I hope you understood this and understood this. Now second question was about discuss the factors affecting persistence of weeds. So you will be thinking that why so much questions of only weeds, because this was a sectional test where I think weeds were covered and plant protection was covered. That is why a lot of questions will be from plant protection. So first 6 tests will be sectional test and then we will have full tests. So this is the test number 3, so that will be a sectional test. That is why from only 2-3 sections you will be seeing lot of the questions. Now the second question is factors affecting the persistence of weed. So what is persistence of weed? That is when weeds persist for a longer time and they are not easily eradicable. Okay, that is what persistence of weed is. So what are the factors? Various factors. Seed production. Obviously the persistent weeds will produce a large number of seed. They will have quick dispersal of seed. They will that dormancy of seed will be the dormancy will seed will allow them to survive in undesirable conditions. The seed will be more harder. Okay, So these were generally seed factors. Other factors have been also discussed, such as vegetative propagation. The weed will have faster growth rate, etc. Examples of lantana camara has been also used. So well written answer. You can pause the video and read the answers if you want. Now let's move to the next question. Next question was, write a note on soil colloids. So what are soil colloids? So soil colloids are generally small sized colloids of soil which when added up make the complete soil. So they have certain properties, they have certain amount of effects which they impact on soil. So that is what soil colloids are. So what are the composition of soil colloids? They are generally composed of clay, minerals, organic matter. So you can read the answers. Characteristics: extreme, generally small in size. Okay, surface area, there will be larger surface area. We all know that the smaller the size, the larger will be the surface area. Charge, typically negative charge, and also they can be positively charged also, but typically they are negative. What are the importance of soil colloid have been also mentioned. Okay, helps in nutrient retention, helps in formation of soil aggregate. High surface area enables soil to hold water. So these are the some of the importances. Challenges have been mentioned. Okay, so you can pause the video and read the answers. The next question is, discuss some of the technique to conserve soil moisture. So obviously, what are the techniques? We all know soil moisture is very important for our plant to grow, for our crops to grow. So what are the techniques through which we can conserve it? The most important one is mulching. Okay, cover cropping. You can pause and read if you want. Then we can do conservation tillage, we can do crop rotations, we can do contour farming, we can do terracing, we can use soil amendments such as addition of organic matter, addition of compost, addition of farmyard manure. Irrigation management needs to be done. Soil moisture monitoring, and we need to optimize the irrigation practices, we need to schedule the irrigations nicely. So these are the some of the ways through which we can conserve our soil moisture. So I hope you understand the answer. Now the next question is, discuss the relevance of mode of reproduction in plant breeding. How plant mode of reproduction is relevant in plant breeding? We all know that plants grow through different modes. There could be sexual reproduction, there could be asexual reproductions. How this mode can be important? So you can see that sexual reproduction lead to high genetic diversity and development of desirable traits. Asexual reproduction leads to genetically identical progenies. We all know that cloning is done in asexual reproduction only. So how sexual and asexual reproduction have an effect on plant breeding. It also determines the breeding techniques. Okay, for sexual reproduction we have different kinds of techniques. For self-pollinating plants we have different kinds of techniques. For cross-pollinating plants we have different kinds of techniques. For vegetatively propagating plants we have different kinds of techniques. So there are different kinds of techniques for breeding. Okay, determines economic aspects, obviously determines application. Okay, so how genetic engineering can be used, how technology can be used. So application of technology is also dependent on the mode of reproduction. So very nicely written answer, although there could be more points, but overall in exam situation if you are writing this amount of points, this is fair. Now the next question, the 20 marker question was, what is micropropagation? Discuss the same, discuss some of the its methods and their advantages. Okay. So what is the micropropagation? It is a process of producing new generation of offspring from a portion of plant tissues. Okay, that is when the plant and new offspring is grown from the portion of a mother plant only. That is what micropropagation is. What are its methods? First of all, student has discussed the what meristem culture advantage have been discussed. Shoot tip culture has been discussed. Callus culture has been discussed. You can pause and read in detail the advantages of these cultures. Somatic embryogenesis have been discussed. Anther and pollen culture have been discussed. So very well written answer. Node culture have been discussed. And again fairly concluded. You can pause and read. The many students have not didn't develop a good way to write conclusions, so you can see how the students have written very good conclusions. You can pause the video and read the conclusions also, so how to introduce your answer and how to conclude your answer. Next question was, what is backcross method? Discuss the genetic consequences of repeated backcrossing. So what is backcrossing? When we cross the F1 progeny with one of their parents. Backcrossing, that we are crossing back. This was the progeny. and this is, instead of going down, it is going to cross with his one of its parents. It is what back crossing, we are going backwards. So this is what back cross method is. Okay, steps have been discussed, you can pause and read. What are its genetic consequences? First one is increased trait incorporation. Okay, genetic purity of the recurrent parent is restored. Okay, donor parents genetic in influenced in progeny is progressively reduced. Okay, there is increase in homogeneity, stable traits have been found. They are effect, there can be effect of linkage. Okay, so well written answer, although there could be well more points, but as I say, in exam situations, if you write this amount of points, it is fair only, because it is not easily to manage time, write very good points. It is very difficult, but with practice you can develop. The next question is, discuss the changes you can observe in rice puddled soil. We all know that puddling is a very important process while we are transplanting the rice. So what are the changes we can observe in the rice puddled soil? First of all, there will be compaction of soil layer, there will be reduced soil aggregation. Obviously, the soil will be transferred into fine layers, transformed into fine layers. Okay, it transforms soil into slurry, making it easier to work with, because we have to plant the transplants. Okay, that is why that is very important. It increases the water holding capacity, reduces soil permeability and water loss. Excessive puddling cause leaching of nutrients. Okay, this has been also mentioned. So very well, very good. That some negative points have been also mentioned. Anaerobic conditions have been created. There is depletion of oxygen. So what happens due to depletion of oxygen? Although there are many times effect on microbial activity, but also there is advantage that there is less weed growth, because most of the weed seeds die or reduced their growth due to the lack of oxygen. So there is also reduced weed growth. So these are the some of the effects, and well written and well concluded. The next question is, discuss briefly the different types of soil using an Indian map. So okay, the students have used an Indian map here, discussed alluvial soil in these regions, red soil, black soil. Okay, so you all know this was a easy, relatively easy question. If you are not an agriculture student, also you could have been written the answer if you have studied for UPSC or prepared for UPSC sincerely. So first one was alluvial soil. So written where it is found, about its fertility, how it is deposited, major crops in these soils, what are the states covered in which these soils can be found. So well written. The same pattern is used in black soil, which is volcanic in origin. You can see cotton crops is very, cotton, sugarcane are very well grown in these regions. Red soils, then red soils have been discussed with the same pattern. Laterite soils, arid soils, mountain soils, everything is well discussed and very nicely written answer. Now let's move to the next question. The next question is, what do you understand by integrated weed management? How do you manage Parthenium using it? So what is integrated youth management? That is combining different methods. It could be cultural method, economic method, mechanical method, biological method, chemical method. So combining all those methods for sustainable weed management is what integrated weed management is. So how can it be helpful in control of Parthenium? So cultural control have been mentioned, crop rotations can be done, cover crops can be used, increasing crop planting density. What happens due to increasing the density, there will be less space for the weeds to the grow. Okay, अगर आप डेंसिटी बढ़ा दोगे तो weeds के लिए कम स्पेस रहेगा जिसमें वो उग सकते हैं. Mechanical control, that is manual removal, ploughing, harrowing. Biological control have been mentioned, that is use of natural enemies. The examples of enemies have been also written nicely. Fungal pathogens can be used. Chemical control have been used, such as 2,4-D atrazine. So nicely written answer. And again, along with these measures, we can use clean and high quality seeds. So other measures have been also mentioned which can be taken care of. So very nicely written answer. Now the next question is, write a note on plant genetic resource. So plant genetic resources are genetic materials of plant in which sum total of genes in a crop species. So it could be improved, but overall okay, ठीक है, चलेगा. Exam situations में you are defining plant genetic resources. So basically plant genetic resource is nothing but the complete genes of the plant. Suppose there is rice. So rice has different genetic, there are different gene banks, different genetic resources. So that is what plant genetic resources is. The features of plant genetic resource, it represents the entire genotype. Okay, that is what I was trying to explain, entire genotype. Okay, so features have been mentioned. You can pause and read the answers. Kinds of Jamplas have been also mentioned: land races, absolute cultivars, modern cultivars, advanced breeding lines, wild relatives, mutants. So fairly written. The next question is, discuss the advantages of mass selection. So what is mass selection? It is the method of breeding in which individual plants are selected based on phenotype and their seed are cultured and used to grow next generation. Okay, individual plants are first of all selected, then they are bulked and they are grown for the next selection. So these definitions, I think the student needs to work on a bit on definitions, but overall fairly written seeing the exam situation. So what are the advantages of mass selection? Simple and quick, applicable to both self and cross pollination. Okay, good protection against diseases. So these are some of the advantages. They have more buffering capacity, good method for improvement of old varieties and land traces. It is important point. Used for purification of improved varieties. So nicely written answer. Now let's move to the next question, that is, write a note on over dominance hypothesis. So what is over dominance hypothesis? Okay, so it explains that the theory is given by East and Soule. Nicely mentioned. So it explains that is there is superiority of hybrid when you compare it with its parents. Okay, so that is what over dominance hypothesis is. That is, hybrids are always superior than their parents. So these are the things written. You can pause and read the answers. As you can see, as the student has moved to later questions, you can see there could be some lack of time or something due to there could be some fatigue writing these amounts of answer in a single flow. So that is why you can see little bit of there is a diminishing of quality in the last two questions as compared to the previous questions. So that can happen in exam, and that is why you have to practice lot and lot to keep your flow right and write all the 19 questions, because you have to write overall 19 questions, five questions, that is one and number 5, and rest all of will have three questions of 3, that is total 19 questions you have to written right. That is why we need to practice hard so that you can maintain the flow and you can finish all the questions in scheduled time. So next question is, BT cotton revolutionized the overall cotton production in the country. Elucidate. So obviously it increased the yields. We all know what BT cotton is. Bacillus thuringiensis is used. It gives protection against the bollworm of the cotton. So increased yields, reduced crop losses, reduced pesticide. So these are the some of the things. Higher profits, widespread adoption. Challenges have been also mentioned that there was some challenges related to it. So well written. The next question is, differentiate. I hope you read the answer. I'm just giving you time to pause it. The next answer is, differentiate between selective and non-selective herbicides. So what are the selective and non-selective herbicides? Selective herbicides target specific weeds and leave undesired plants unharmed. Okay, मतलब specific weeds को target करती है, बाकी जो other plants है उससे कोई effect नहीं होता है. But non-selective kill all the plant types that come in contact with those. Okay, non-selective के बाद जो भी plant contact में आता है वो मर जाता है, but selective which is selected for one or two weeds उसी को वो harm करता है. This is the major difference, basic difference. So other points you can pause and read. Examples have been also mentioned. There are selective examples of selective website. We decide that is 2,4-D atrazine, and for non-selective glyphosate, paraquat. So nicely written and well concluded. The next question was, write a short note on slow release nitrogen fertilizer. We all know that neem coated urea, sulfur coated urea, nano urea, these are all slow release nitrogen fertilizers. So what these does, due to their slow release, they increase the nitrogen use efficiency and there is less wastage of nitrogen. Advantage has been written: improved nitrogen use efficiency, reduced nitrogen losses, provide steady supply of nitrogen. So nicely written answer. You can read the answers. Challenges have been also mentioned, such as high initial cost, timing of fertilizer. The farmers don't have that much knowledge to use this, especially Indian farmers, where more than 80% of farmers are marginally small. So these are some of the challenges, and well concluded. The next question is, discuss the pros and cons of biofertilizers and green manures. So what are the advantages of biofertilizers? We all know what biofertilizers and green manures are. You can read if you don't know. You can read the definition. In biofertilizers, we are using biological elements for fertilizers, living microorganisms. Advantages have been well mentioned, that is lower pollution, sustainable and eco-friendly. So these are some of the advantages. Microbial activity of soil is increased, and disadvantages, that is cons, have been also mentioned, that is slow action, variable results. So these are some of the cons. You can pause and read. And then what green manures are, many times we grow crops in the field and plow them with the with in the field also, that is the portion of the plants are incorporated in the field also. Sometimes, many times, the leaves, the other straws are used as green manures to they increase the organic matter in the soil. Pros have been mentioned, that is addition of nutrients, increased organic matter, prevent soil erosion, suppress weed growth. So there are some of the pros, and cons have been also mentioned, that is required timing in which compete with crops. Okay, many times when you grow green manures with crops, it could compete with the crops. Okay, careful management is needing. So these are the some of the things which we need to write. The next question was, discuss in detail the factors leading to the losses of nitrogen in soil. So we all know there is huge loss of nitrogen in soil, and the second part of the question is asking what ways to enhance the nitrogen use efficiency. So how can be nitrogen be lost? Through leaching, through volatilization, through waterlogging conditions. Heavy rainfall can also leach, immobilization. So these are the some of the ways through which nitrogen is lost. And how can we enhance nitrogen use efficiency? Using appropriate nitrogen sources such as slow release fertilizers, naturally 10. Okay, application of fertilizers recommended rate based, that on basis of recommended dosage we have to apply the fertilizers. Use of cover crops. So these are the things which we need to know. So nicely written, crop rotations need to be done, complementary cropping should be done. So well written answer. Then last question of this test 3 was, discuss the usefulness of somatic hybridization. So what is somatic hybridization? That is a technique of plant biotechnology that involves fusion of protoplasts from two different species, creating a hybrid cell. When protoplasts of two different species are fused to create a hybrid cell, that is what, to create a hybrid plant, that is what somatic hybridization is. What are its usefulness? It is useful in producing of hybrids between species that cannot be crossed. Many times the species cannot be crossed traditionally. So there we can use these somatic hybridization techniques. So you can pause and read the answers. It also helps to restore fertility, improve quality traits, and modify growth habitat. So you can pause and read the answers if you want. So this was the last question, and I hope you liked the video. You have you could plan your answers through viewing these answers. You can also get to know how to approach these types of answers. So I hope you like this. So that is all for today. Please do like it. Please do share, and please do subscribe. It takes a lot of hard work to bring such courses for you and very economical fees. When we compare the fees, it is 10 to 20 times cheaper than the coaching institutions, and we have been giving you quality content in YouTube for free. And these types of answer copy discussions can help you to enrich your answer writing skills. So please do like, please do share, please do subscribe, because it takes a lot of hard work. And if you like, if you share, if you subscribe, it motivates us to make more such videos for you regularly. So that is all for today. Have a nice day. Thank you.